Stellar's XLM token could be in store for some serious gains in the coming months. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at the XLM token's technical analysis, sharing my thoughts and opinions as to where I think the price action could be going. As I get into the video, smash that like button if you're new, subscribe, and let's jump right down into the charts. So here we have XLM paired up with USDT, and we are on the one-day Binance chart. And while we can see some pretty phenomenal things going on with this price action, specifically if we start reflecting on the historical price movements of the XLM token. Now, in here, we can see that we had an interesting bounce from our lows of 2023. This was January of 2023, where we had a low of 7 cents. We rallied up, and since then, we've had a bit of a pull to the downside. Now, this is really important because this is potentially a precursor of things to come in the future. So this particular move to the downside is very interesting to me because it shows the extreme volatility that comes with cryptocurrencies, and specifically the kind of volatility that we can see when it comes to XLM. Now, these particular structures, as we see right in here, have come right down into those typical ranges between 0.0713 and 0.0816 or 36, sorry. And this particular area is exactly where we have bounced from. This is a huge area for buying and accumulation. So should the price come into this range again, this is going to be a huge opportunity for dollar cost averaging at 7 to 8 cents. Okay, the current point of recording, we're 9.4, struggling to get past that 200-day EMA. Okay, so we know that we're in a good area for accumulation, but what does the future possibly hold for XLM? Now, in the previous bull market of 2020 into 2021, we saw some interesting volatility for XLM. Okay, specifically what we saw was a fantastic low, and I say fantastic because it presented itself with some huge opportunities. This was at 2.6 cents. Then we had this fantastic run to the upside where we topped out just up here. Let me see if I can snap this on, coming in at 79.85 cents. This was a run of 2,900%. Now, don't get me wrong, there were other cryptocurrencies that performed equally as well or even better. For example, if you were able to get into Polygon-matic at the lows, well, that did 42,000%. If you were able to get into Cardano during the lows, that was 17,000%. But this 2,900 is very much in line with Ethereum or in line with XRP and Polkadot and Algorand. All of these projects did very similar amounts of gains. They weren't phenomenally better than others, but for the most part, they were really good, lucrative earners. Even though you could have made more money with other projects, XLM, XRP, Algorand, and so forth still performed reasonably well considering everything that's going on in the blockchain space. So seeing a 2,900% move here is quite interesting. And of course, our moves to the downside are also potentially not yet complete. There's still the possibility of a little bit deeper, but, for the record, guys, that was a W, X, Y, X, and Z pattern. That Z wave has already met its minimum expectations, so there's no need to necessarily go down deeper than 7 cents, but it's possible, so we'll keep it in the back of our minds. But for the most part, this is a fantastic run that we saw in 2020 and 2021, and if we were to repeat this, we're going to see some phenomenal gains in the future. So let's go ahead and take a look at what those bar patterns might look like. If we go ahead and take this entire structure that we saw in this previous bullish market, which I think is likely to happen in 2025, and apply it to our existing lows, well, we can see some interesting targets coming in at around $144, assuming that we have a very similar performance, which I think we will. This would be marked up as a W, X, and Y structure. Now, it's possible that if everything lines up very well for XLM and Stellar and the broader crypto market, that things actually turn a little bit more bullish and they have those overextensions and those bigger moves to the upside. If we were to see those in the market, then things would change quite dramatically when it comes to XLM. Let me show you where that potential lies. So for that potential to kind of see some significant gains, we would have to see $17.29 for XLM. Now, there's many reasons as to why that could potentially happen, and there's lots of reasons why that may not happen. I'm going to highlight a few things right here as to one of the price targets that I think are the reasonable ones to be waiting for and expecting. Okay, so we're going to start by taking a look at this broad area just down here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just drop that back on where I placed it and then just drag this across. Now, these Fibonacci levels relate to Elliott wave theory in a really beautiful way. I'm not going to bore you all with the details of it, but essentially here, the 1 to the 1.236 is your typical range. That's where things normally would move to. However, they don't always go that way. And our minimum expectation would be the W high, okay, just up this side. So there's the typical range and then there's the minimum range. And somewhere in between there are some other Fibonacci levels that we should probably be paying attention to. Okay, and those are really important because price likes to resonate to them. Now, as you can kind of see here, I'm going to actually expand this to the correct level right down here. But there was some interesting things right here on the 702. There's also some interesting things happening right here on the 786. Okay, and of course, right up here on that 882. Now, I just copied these bar patterns and placed them over here into this low area where we're currently finding a bounce. If history repeats itself, you can see that there's some clear resistances on the 702, clear resistances on the 786, and clear resistances on the 882. Okay, so these are some interesting price points where we can see that history has negatively had some kind of relationship with those levels. Okay, now the 618 is also typically an area where you would expect to find resistance. Now, these particular bar patterns are not showing that, but there is at this particular area here, just a little bit short, where we did in fact see some sell pressure emerging. It's just a little bit shorter than that 0.618. But as you can kind of see, these areas are immensely interesting for the price action of XLM. So I would be looking at the 0.618 at 57.86 cents being the conservative low end of my expectations for the price action. The 702 at 76.98 also happens to resonate well with the previous high. And then of course $1.02 being the 786. This area is also an area where we're likely to find some sell pressure. And the 882, $1.41.9. Okay, again, these are all areas where we're likely to find some sell pressure. Should we break through those, the $2.11 is the 1-to-1 and $4.72 is the 1.236. These are areas where we would typically find XLM potentially rallying to. Now, of course, we're talking about bull market highs. We're talking about how well that's going to do in 2025, right? We're not talking about these things right now. If we were to rally up to the 1-to-1, it's 2,900%. And if we were to rally up to the 1.236, we're talking about 6,583% in order to kind of achieve those goals. It's not out of the realm of possibilities, considering we saw, Matic do 42,000%. We've seen Harmony One do, I think, 28,000%. We saw VeChain doing 28,000%. We saw what else did we see? We saw Ethereum doing 2,000%. We've seen a lot of altcoins do phenomenal gains, and really on the back of very little fundamental development. But I think we're going to see some phenomenal stuff. Stellar's been building for years now, and it has the potential to do phenomenally well in this bull market. So let me know, where do you sit with this one? What are your price expectations for the XLM token? Are you expecting $2? Do you think that's too high? Are you expecting $1? Are you thinking, actually, that 57 cents looks pretty promising from these lows, and actually I'll take 1,000%. You can let me know in the comments down below where you sit with this one, but ultimately for me, I think there's some potential here for XLM. It might not be as juicy as some of these other newer, more flashier blockchains and blockchain solutions, but it has been proven to do pretty well in these previous bullish markets. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below, or join us in our free Discord server linked in the description. And if you haven't done so yet, check out my second channel where I cover the Cardano technical analysis.